Hey guys, what's going on? Migan here. All right, answering questions from my school community. I forgot which episode number this is. All right, let's get straight to it. Bros asked me one question about mental health, anxiety, confidence, Ikigai, life purpose, blah, blah, blah. All right, number one is Fuzai K. All right, how to get over trauma because of bullying of looks, which led to BDD. Okay, can't get counseling because I'm currently broke. Guys, come on, come on. You could have read your fucking message before you press send. Like, come on, guys. Because I'm current. I'm assuming you mean currently broke. Anxiety in public. Confidence is shattered. Also, no sense of ikigai or purpose. Just existing and procrastinating. Okay, I feel really bad. This really hits home because that's the state that a lot of men are in. So number one, don't feel any less you know, don't let that lower your self esteem. You're not the only one going through this. As far as obviously, I'm not gonna be able to fix your situation in just one Q&A video, but I tell every man that I work with that's dealing with mental health issues, whatever, they're overwhelmed because, like I always say, life as a man is so brutal. There's so many things we have to get good at just in order to be seen, in order to not be invisible, in order to be accepted. There are so many things we have to get good at that sometimes, we don't even know where to start, right? On top of the fact that a lot of the things that society requires from us pulls us in opposite directions, right? For example, women want you to be this way, religion wants you to be that way, your family wants you to be this way, your culture wants you to be this other way, your boss at work wants you to be a certain way, right? So men are pulled from so many different angles that it's no wonder we have the highest suicide rates. It's not because men are weak; it's because men just go through a lot more. You know, so what I normally tell the guys that I'm working with are dealing with mental health, I say let's make it a step by step process, right? Because it's so overwhelming that you have to map out the whole road on a piece of paper and make it a step by step process so you know exactly what comes first, what comes second, what comes third. It sounds simple, but it's incredibly effective because a mistake a lot of men make is they'll try to start at step 20 and then wonder why they're not going anywhere. Well, you're not going anywhere because step 19 is not done and step 18 is not done and you get the point, right? So you got to figure out what step one is. Well, how do you know? Well, one, look at your triple S score, look at the areas you're the weakest in, because you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So look at your triple S score. For the guys who are new, just watch my video on it or watch my free content on it. But look at your triple S score. Look at the areas in order because obviously security comes first, status comes second, and then sexiness comes third. So in order, look at the areas in which you're the weakest, right? And start there. Because if you try to go, let's say, to the status part, but you don't have the security part, you're going to struggle. Because a lot of our status comes first from our ability to provide security, financial and physical security, you know? Or if you try to go to number three, which is sexiness, but you have no status, you have no security, you're just wasting your time, right? The girl, the women, or whoever would just look at you and say, okay, you handsome, okay, but you're useless, right? Believe it or not, there's a lot of handsome guys out there who are virgins who struggle in dating because they can create attraction at first, but then the women come close and go, dude, you empty. You just have a pretty face. Get in line. There's a lot of pretty niggas out there, right? So that's what I would say. Obviously, there's so much more to this, but it's a Q&A, right? What else you expect? But yeah, don't worry. I have a lot of courses coming up on this stuff, a lot of free and paid content, so you're gonna have more than enough information. So yeah, so first look at your triple S score. Look at the areas in which you lack the most. If it's physical security, start with that, right? As a man, guys, as a man, everything starts with your physique, right? I'm not saying you have to look like Chris Bumstead. I'm not saying you have to be a UFC fighter, but first start with your physique. That's where everything starts as a man, right? Learn to fight, get in shape, build muscle, get strong, right? And that's gonna cause a domino effect. That's gonna lead to the next part, right? And also make money, right? That's why security is broken up into those two things. You cannot separate the two, because think about it, guys. The very reason why women even want men who look like they can fight, and then the studies are conclusive on that. In all cultures, men who have a lot of muscle, upper body strength, who look like they can fight, have an advantage in mating partners, reproductive success, number of kids, even income in some cases. So the reason why women evolve to select men that have good fighting ability, it's not for the sake of fighting. Women don't really give a fuck about fighting or MMA or whatever. It's because they evolved to seek protection, right? And also somebody was able to get resources and protect those resources. So they're not really looking for jack dudes because they just want jack dudes. They're not looking for aesthetic dudes because they just like aesthetics. No, it's evolution. It's because back in the days, if you knew how to fight, chances are you were a good hunter. You know how to procure resources. You know how to get food, and you know how to protect those resources, right? Because it's not enough to just get resources. You got to be able to protect it from other men who would raid the tribe every now and then and steal those resources. So when a woman looks at your physique, right, consciously she doesn't know what's happening, but subconsciously the brain knows what it's doing. It's scanning for your competence, your ability to not just protect her, but your ability to get resources. So that's why you can't just build a physique and be broke, right? And you also just can't have money and be weak. You need both. Increase your ability to make money, and also, increase your ability to defend and protect for women, right? Men forget that dating, all women are really scanning for, and even they don't know it because it's so deep in their brain. It's embedded through thousands of years of evolution and natural selection. All women are really looking for is a provider. That's why there's gold diggers in every culture, right? All they're looking for is a provider and a protector. Why? Because of babies. If you don't understand babies, you will never understand women. And if you don't understand women, you will never understand men, which is yourself. I repeat, if you don't understand babies, you will never, ever understand women's psychology, female psychology, and you also will never understand men, right? Because we literally evolved to complement women who also evolved to have babies. So you cannot separate that, right? That's why women want protectors. That's why they want providers. You think women can provide for themselves? Of course they can. But in the wild, the moment you have a baby, you are now at the mercy of nature, right? And when you guys have kids, you know what I'm talking about. You figure out why women are so picky once you have kids. Kids are so unpredictable, so weak, so helpless, you know, that even if a woman is the greatest hunter in the tribe, she can't do anything once she has that baby. So she needs a man who's gonna protect her and hunt for her while she's nursing and taking care of this crying piece of shit, right? Babies are, oh my goodness, they are such a handicap, right? So that's why women want strong, competent men, right? Okay, so hopefully that answers your question somewhat. Yeah. Okay. Next one, Mike W. Let's see. Why there are people who sit all day at home, not train, not do the 10 commandments, yet the confidence is skyrocketing, the anxiety doesn't exist, and overall they are more brave than people who already do 10 commandments and that's all they see. I like I told you guys, I can't stand those questions because one, where's your source, right? Where's the study that showed that these people even exist? Right? What you're doing is you're doing confirmation bias. You're looking at outliers and you're saying, oh, look at this person. Like I would say, you don't know what that person is doing. That person who's at home doesn't do this. You don't know are you following them around 24/7? You're not, right? And number two, the people that you say are doing all the 10 commandments and da da da, how do you know they're doing all of them? Are you following them? That's why we have studies, guys, because it's so easy for humans to just come up with whatever BS hypothesis we have, you know, because of confirmation bias and survivorship bias, right? You need to control for variables. So that's the first thing. First thing is you pulling this out of your ass. You probably saw a few examples and then you just generalized it, right? So it's a logical fallacy. And again, I'm being harsh on you because I want you guys to stop thinking like that. You have to be objective. Use critical thinking. You know, stop using correlational fallacy and survivorship bias and confirmation bias, right? All else equal, if you grab a person who's doing all the 10 commandments dialed in, and then you grab a person who's not doing it, it's night and day. It's night and day who's going to be more optimized and more confident or whatever, right? Now, are they going to be outliers? Absolutely. But that's literally why they call outliers, because they literally prove the rule. People have it backwards. People think, oh, look, I found an exception to the rule, therefore the rule doesn't exist, when it's actually it's the other way around. The outliers are so few that they prove that the rule exists. Okay. Now, as far as if you're asking why they're outliers, well, why they're outliers and everything. Why are there people who smoke and don't get lung cancer? Why are there people who jump off buildings and don't break their backs? Why are there people who drink bleach and don't die? Right? We could go on and on. Right? There's a million reasons. It could be genetics. It could be they're lucky. It could be that they did something else that compensate for that. Right? So, anyway, but I'll give you like anyway. Next from Nate. Will there be any other 10 commandments? If you could add some, even if I add some, they're gonna be part of the 10 commandments because the 10 commandments. The reason why they're so goaded, yes, I'm stroking my own fucking. You know what? The reason why they're so goaded is simply because I combined all 20 plus years of research and experience into just 10 pillars that cover 99.9999999%. And another reason why it's hard to find anything that's not in the 10 Commandments and also works a lot is simply because the 10 Commandments are made of I created them of the mechanisms of testosterone increase. You know what I mean? They're built of mathematical, objective, scientific mechanisms. So even if you find this new T booster, right, it's gonna use one of the mechanisms that's in the 10 Commandments. You know what I mean? Even if you find, oh, look, because we know the mechanisms, we know exactly how T is made, we know how T is transported, we know how T activates the androgen receptor, we know all the mechanisms, right? Especially the Pareto principle mechanism. So you're not gonna find a new commandment that is extremely powerful and that does not overlap with the 10 Commandments. But again, that's you guys' brain looking for the next shiny object. Instead of dialing in the basics, instead of dialing in what works, your brain is looking for the next shiny thing. And that's why a lot of men fail, man. Because you know what to do, but you're like, no, that's either too simple, it seems too basic, or it's too hard. Therefore, you're looking for a shortcut. I'm not saying that's what's happening with you, right? I'm just going off what I normally see. Because most people I talk to, even me, who created the 10 Commandments, I still don't dial in 100%, right? Because it's so hard to be perfect every fucking time, especially when you have the life that I have, right? So a lot of you guys are not even dialing in the 10 Commandments consistently, day after day after day, and you're already looking for commandment number 11. You see the problem with men, right? But anyway, next we have Sigo. How do I kill my fear of conflict and confrontation? How to stop being a people pleaser? Okay, so again, this is assuming that you're already doing what I'm gonna say, right? Assuming that you already have a good enough triple S score, which to be technical, if you did, then you wouldn't have this issue. But the best way to get rid of fear of confrontation and stop trying to please people, whatever. One, know why you're doing it, right? Are you doing it because you're highly agreeable? Is it a personality trait, right? Are you doing it because you're high in agreeableness? If it is, then the solution is right there. Work on lowering your agreeableness, right? Which is easy, competition, practicing, standing up for yourself, getting into debates, right? Not just for the sake of debating, but to learn how to rebut and whatever. So that's one thing. I always told you guys, whenever you give me a vague question where I don't know enough about you, I'll give you a generic vague answer, right? That's why I'm always about be specific, be specific. Because I could easily just answer your questions with the most basic, generic stuff you could Google or ask ChatGPT. But how's that helping anyone? But if you want specific answers, I need to know more about you. I don't know why that's so hard for you guys to understand. But anyway, yeah. So without knowing anything about you, I would say boost your triple S score. Make sure you have, uh, your financial, you know, strength is on point. Make sure your physical strength is on point, meaning in shape, muscle mass, know how to fight, blah blah blah. And if it's a personality issue, meaning you high in agreeableness, dial that down. Debate, right? Start if you see somebody, saying a bunch of BS, don't be afraid to call them out on it. There's many things you could do to lower agreeableness because you don't want agreeableness to be too high. Obviously, you don't want it to be too low either. But as men, as competitive men in the competitive world, you do not want high agreeableness. You want it to be below average, not too low, of course, but below average. Now, let's say the issue stems from you just having no self confidence, right? Because that could also make a person want to please everyone. Because if you have low self confidence, then you're afraid to be rejected. You have a fear of abandonment. You have a fear of being kicked out of the tribe. So that would make you want to please everybody. So in that case, you know the issue, increase your confidence. How do you increase your confidence? Well, confidence is a symptom. Confidence is a result of competence and indifference, right? So become more competent, acquire wins, climb up social hierarchies, right? It's the same stuff I say all the time. And if the cause is maybe it's because let's say you're not high in agreeableness. Let's say you are somewhat confident, you have high self-esteem, and you still have fear of confrontation. And maybe it's because you haven't tried it enough. That's where the indifference part comes in, right? The indifferent part of confidence. Maybe you haven't done it enough. Maybe you haven't been into enough conflicts, enough confrontations. Well, in that case, you know the solution, right? Do it more. See, like the solution always depends on the root cause. That's why whenever somebody comes to me with a problem, I say, give me context. Give me context so that I could figure out what the root cause is. Then I could give you specific individual advice. Okay? So write this down, guys. The solution to your problem always depends on the root cause of your problem. And it could be different from person A to person B. Next, you have Santiago. How can I boost my mental strength to confront the challenges of my purpose with valor to compensate my lack of natural talent in both intellectual and social prowess of my competition. Okay, so how can I boost my mental strength? Again, you didn't give me enough information about you, as always. You guys love doing that, but I don't know where you are in life. I don't know what level you at, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know where you are. If you below 5, then there goes your solution right there. Go up to 5 and above. Every man should be above average in the things that men are ranked on. I repeat, every man should be above average, average being 5 out of 10, right? 50%, in the things that matter, you know, as far as masculinity goes, right? So you should be above average in physique. You should be above average in strength. You should be above average in, earning potential. You should be above average in, uh, you know, just knowledge, you know, productive knowledge, that is, right? Nobody gives a fuck if you know about insects, unless that's your field. You should be above average in status, relative status, right? Depending on whatever position you're in. So that's how you level up in life. You figure out what hierarchy you in. You figure out the things that matter, and then you try to be above average. Because if you average, you're just blending in, right? You're just blending in. That's the whole point of average. If you score 5 out of 10 on any metric that men are ranked on, then you're just gonna blend in. Men won't respect you. Women won't care because women evolved to pick men at the top of social hierarchies, meaning 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They don't care about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So how can you boost your mental strength? Well, first, make sure you have a reason to have mental strength. Meaning, did you acquire wins? Are you climbing a hierarchy? Also, you say to compensate for the lack of my natural talents in both intellectual and social prowess. Okay, well, the best way to compensate for your lack of natural talents in intellectual and social settings is to increase those things because they actually matter, right? They actually matter. You don't want to be below average in intellectual prowess and social prowess, right? Now, again, when I say intellectual, it's always relative to your Ikigai, right? It's always relative to what matters. I don't expect you to know about, fucking archaeology or the fucking mating cycles of bees, right? I'm always referring to the things that matter. You guys have to remember that strength is always a result. It's always a result. It's always a symptom, quote unquote, of something else, right? Somebody who has mental strength, it's not because they just meditated and one day open their eyes and boom, they have mental strength. No, that mental strength is a badge. You know how you play video games and you get trophies and badges? Let's say you're playing Call of Duty and you go, oh, look, I have a badge. What is that badge? That badge is a symptom, right? It's a sign. It's a sign of something. It's a sign that you accomplished something. That's what strength is. I want you guys to look at strength as badges, right? Physical strength, that's a badge. Mental strength, that's a badge. Financial strength, that's a badge, right? It's a sign that you accomplished something else. So when you say, how can I boost my mental strength? Well, that's like saying, how can I get a badge in Call of Duty that you can only get when you have a 3-to-1 KD ratio? Well, get a 3-to-1 KD ratio, right? So whatever mental, because obviously mental strength breaks down into many things: confidence, motivation, drive, ambition, whatever, right? Toughness, stoicism, right? So whatever, look at it as like a RPG, like a skill tree. Whatever pillar of mental strength you want to increase, right? Find out what things need to be done for you to get a quote unquote badge in those things. Hopefully that makes sense. What's one next is from Danny Ekweme. What's one action I can take today that will make me feel 10 times more confident tomorrow? Oh my God. Oh my God. If you mean tomorrow as literally tomorrow, number one, it's going to sound basic and cliched, but accomplish something extremely hard. Guys, every time you accomplish something hard, you have to, again, you have to understand that confidence is also relative. The brain decides how much quote unquote confidence to give you, right? By comparison. Right? The brain is always scanning. It's always comparing you because we social beings. We evolved in social hierarchies. So the brain is always comparing. So let's say you bench 315 today, 315 pounds. The brain is going to give you confidence. Why? Because it's hard to bench 315. Right? When I first benched 315, I was on cloud fucking nine. You couldn't tell me shit. Right? I was walking around like I was 9 feet tall. Right? But why does the brain give you confidence when you bench less than 315? It's because it's fucking hard. Because many people can't do it, especially naturally. Right? Now, let's say you bench 315 and then you find out everybody else is benching 315. Your fucking grandma, her retarded cat is benching 315. Are you going to get confidence? Of course not. Because now the brain is like, wait a minute, this is useless. Everybody else is doing it. right? So that's another part of confidence people don't understand. It's relative, right? The brain gives it to you, right? Because it compared you to other people around you, and it realized, oh wow, you mugging these motherfuckers. Boom. Now confidence goes up, which goes back to what I said earlier, which is confidence and mental strength, all those things, they are symptoms, they are signs. They are the result of a previously done action. They are results of wins. So what is one action you could take today that will make you confident, right? Win. Guys, everything comes down to winning, guys. You have to win. Everyone is trying to like look for the shortcut. They're trying to find the escape route. No, you have to win. That's how you become confident. And when I say win, it just means overcoming something hard. Whether it's the competition against someone, whether it's, let's say a person is scared of spiders. What would make them confident whenever they see a spider tomorrow? Is if they stomp on that spider, is if they overcome their fears, if they actually go into a room with spiders and start killing them motherfuckers. Then the next day they'll be more confident. Repeat that for 3 weeks. Next thing they don't even think about spiders anymore. So you guys are trying to once again look for shortcuts, right? One thing you could do today to increase your confidence tomorrow is win. Do hard things. If you guys are coming to my channel because you're hoping to hear some quick shortcut that will make you skip the basics or whatever, good luck. Good luck, because you guys know I'm brutally honest. Now, I could sell to you bullshit. I could lie. I could do the whole no fab. All these clowns who just make up shit that we know doesn't work long term. And then I get views, I get more money, whatever, but I'd be lying to you guys, right? That's why people who lie succeed, because they tell you what you want to hear. And you go, yes, yes, take my money. No. You want to be confident, then do the things that lead to confidence. Do hard things or survive. You don't always have to win. You could also lose but survive. I told you guys, confidence comes from a history of wins or a history of losses that did not destroy you. That's why I gave the rejection example, right? That's why even though I'm ugly as shit, I'm super confident when approaching women, right? Back in my fucking whole days. Why? Because I got rejected so many times that I became indifferent. So there goes the history of losses that did not destroy you. That leads to massive confidence. And you guys know what I'm talking about. If you go outside a lot, because a lot of you guys just stay home all day. If you go outside a lot, you know what I'm talking about. There's always this guy at the club or at the bar or whatever who's super ugly or short or whatever, but he's super good with women, super confident. Why? Because this motherfucker doesn't care, man. You could even find these guys on TikTok. There are guys who look like sin on TikTok, and they are bagging bitches, right? Why? They just ooze confidence because they were bullied so much that it either destroyed them or it made them better. In the case that they got so many history of losses that they became numb to it, right? And it's a shame that you guys are letting guys who are uglier than you, shorter than you, have less money than you, beat you in life because you just refuse to go out there and get hurt. You need pain. You need pain. You need to get hurt. You need to win and you need to lose. That's how you become confident. Next, could my obsession also be my talent? Absolutely. That's the goal. That's the goal. The goal of my version of the Ikigai, right? My area dominance model, which is I customized the original Japanese Ikigai mainly for men, because the original one did not really apply to men. It applied to like everybody. But for men, I had to create version 2.0, right? And the goal is to find the overlap, right, between your obsession, your superpower, your pain, all of those things. So yes, your obsession could also be your talent. It doesn't have to be, right? But it'll be better if they're synced. In fact, that's what the area dominance model looks for, is to look for that intersection between your obsession, your natural talents, your pains and traumas, the world's pains, and also your proposition, right, where you can actually do better than the competition. Once you get all five of those, that's why if you notice, I like using the Infinity Gauntlet and the gorilla with the whole Thanos thing, is because that's the goal. You're literally trying to collect all those stones in the different areas of your life, right? The triple S score, you're trying to collect all three stones, right? Security, status, sexiness. The five masculine strengths, right? Physical strength, intellectual strength, financial strength, mental strength, spiritual strength. You're trying to collect all five of those. The Ikigai, right? My version of the Ikigai, the area dominance. You're trying to collect all five, right? Next, and that was from Fabian. I like Fabian. He has so much potential, but I could tell he has very low confidence. A lot of you guys have low confidence. Next, Benyat Cosetti. I'm 17 years old, and since I was little, I've been passionate about content creation. I'm really good at performing and speaking, But over time, I stopped creating content and showing my talent. Now at 17, I don't feel sure about what my Ikigai is, or even if my Ikigai has anything to do with that talent. All I end up with are more doubts. My question is, could the reason I can't find my Ikigai be that I'm too young and still need to experience more in life? Or should I be looking for my Ikigai in the experiences of my childhood? Best regards, 57 kg, uh, 1.67. So, okay, so you shorter than 5. You definitely shorter than 5'7" because I'm 5'7". 12% body fat. Okay. So it could be a combination of both, right? Yes, it could also be that you young, but listen, guys, your Ikigai is something that will evolve over time, right? So in the beginning, you guys are doing that thing again where you're waiting for perfection before you act, and that one drives me insane. Do not wait until you have the perfect Ikigai before you get started, right? The way Ikigai works is you get started based on it's like calculus, right? You're trying to find the limit as you approach infinity, right? You're not trying to find infinity stuff. You're trying to find a limit, right? So you're not really trying to find your super perfect dream job that's like, you know, no, you're just trying to get as close to it as possible, right? And as you start moving, you learn new things. You learn more about yourself. As you start pursuing your Ikigai and making money based on it, whatever, you learn more. You get closer and closer. It's kind of like, think of your Ikigai as the sun, and then your your original Ikigai, right, the one that you first started off with, as like a planet that's orbiting, right? The goal is to get as close and close as possible to the sun. Obviously, that's a bad example because if you get close to the sun, you fucking die. But you get the point, right? Your original Ikigai that you can get started with in less than a week. It might not be the final version of your Ikigai, but at least you closer, right? You're closer and closer. And as you pursue your Ikigai, you realize, wait a minute, I'm actually, you know, uh, you refine it more. You realize, wait, it's actually this as opposed to that. It's actually this as opposed to that. You get closer and closer and closer and closer. So don't wait until you have the super perfect final. No, just get started based on what makes the most sense now. Right? The best example I can give you guys is let's use Michael Jordan as an example, right? Obviously, his Ikigai was basketball, right? But if you study his biography, he didn't just get started with basketball. He started doing different things, baseball and whatever, right? So that's an example of a kid who starts off realizing, hey, I like moving my body around. Okay, next, I jump high. I'm athletic, and maybe it's baseball, maybe it's football, right? Maybe it's this. He tried many different sports, but you notice all the things he tried were in the domain of sports, right? And then eventually it gets more narrowed and narrowed and narrowed and narrowed, and boom, now he finds basketball, right? Another example is somebody who, let's say Usain Bolt and sprinting, right? In the beginning, he actually wanted to play soccer. See? So you can actually start somewhere that's not truly your Ikigai, but at the time you think it is. And then as he's playing, everyone's realizing, yo, this guy's fast as fuck. Oh my God, this guy's so fast as he's playing soccer. And next you know, one thing leads to another. A coach comes up, goes, "Hey, maybe you should try sprinting," and then he tries it. Next you know, he's Usain Bolt. I've studied so many of the world's goats, and they all follow that pattern for the most part. Where in the beginning, they don't actually know what the Ikigai is. They just start with whatever give the path of least resistance, right? Wherever they notice that the talents are taking them and their passions are taking them, and as they're pursuing that, they get better and better and better. Oh shit, Fabian just wrote, shit, new video coming out. Yeah, he could tell I'm making a video because then I start liking the post one at a time. See, small motherfucker. But yeah, so that's my answer to you guys who are looking for Ikigai, right? Don't overanalyze. That's why I told you guys it takes less than a week to find Ikigai. It takes less than a week, right? 3 days max. If you devote your entire day to it, 12 to 16-hour days, 3 days in a row, by day 3, you already found your Ikigai, or at least as close to it as possible, right? You found your life purpose already in less than 3 days. Problem is, you guys are doing 30 minutes on Monday, skipping Tuesday, 5 minutes on Wednesday into researching your Ikigai. No, just go all in. Use the concentration of force strategy that I preach about so much, right? That's the military science nerd in me coming out, right? Go all in, balls deep, 3 days out of the week on just finding your Ikigai. And I guarantee you will get as close as possible. And even then, after that, as you pursuing it, you will refine it more and more. Right? So at 17, you have more than enough information. Trust me. Ask the usual questions. Again, I'm gonna release the Ikigai course. I've been working on so many courses, guys. So many freaking courses. It's just, again, it takes so much time, and then I gotta price them. A lot of you motherfuckers are broke, so I gotta find the right price, and it's complicated. Because those, yeah, I already told you guys. I already gave you guys a ton of free information, ton of free courses. The paid ones, yeah, I'm not going easy on you guys. I will find ways to make it uh, affordable, meaning you could level up in school, you could get discounts, whatever. But I'm pricing the fuck out of these hoes because they're taking so much time out of my day. Anyway, so hopefully that helps. You can find it in three to 7 days. Just find out more about yourself. Take those personality tests. Stuff like that. Look at the video games you enjoy, the movies you enjoy. All right, next. What causes people to verbally bully others? Is it insecurity? Yes, it's insecurity, and it's also, in the case of where it's not insecurity, it's also reinforcement, right? Remember, guys, humans. I know you guys hate to hear this, but it's true. Humans are neither good or evil, right? We are opportunistic, right? We just do whatever it is that gets us from point A to point B, right? Depending on our culture, depending on our environment, depending on our genetics. So some people just got through in life by abusing others. So it created a pattern of reinforcement where they get dopamine from this shit, right? And they just keep on doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, right? Whereas some people got ahead in life by being kind to others and nice to others. Well, so they keep on doing it. So yeah, that's why I usually say there's no such thing as good and evil. I'm oversimplifying it, but it's true. It's just reinforcements and dopamine. And once you understand dopamine in the brain and evolution and natural selection, all of life makes sense. It becomes depressing, but all of life starts to make sense. So that's why some verbally bully and push others around. It's just that that behavior was reinforced since they were young. You know. Let's see. It's a great example I gave you guys is me, right? Why do I go out and try to help people and whatever? I told you guys in my stories because my childhood traumas, right? And then when I started helping people, I noticed that I felt better. That's why I tell you guys that I'm not morally good. I do what I do because it makes me feel good, right? I help you guys because it helps me. I help you guys because I see myself in you. It's my Ikigai, and that's why I do it, right? And if every time I try to help someone, my life got worse and worse and worse, you think I would keep doing it? Fuck no. I would say fuck all of you guys, right? So I'm helping you guys because I get dopamine from it, right? I get dopamine from seeing that a young man used to be in my shoes, and because of my videos or my advice, now he's stronger mentally or physically. Therefore, I keep doing it. So that's life in a nutshell, man. People just keep doing whatever reinforces their status or whatever it is that makes them happy. It's truly sad. Next, sitting bull. Yo, Migan, just want to say I really appreciate what you're doing and offer my sincere gratitude. Okay, okay. Appreciate you as well. As for my question, I got a lot of really good, something you call high quality close friends. I'm good in that regard socially. Where I seem to struggle is being cool with just almost anybody. For example, when most of my friends go around campus, gym, etc., everybody greets them and knows them. They're cool with just everybody, whether they're friends with them or not. As for me, I really only got like 10 close friends and can seem to just be cool with randoms. How do you think someone can improve their social skills? I've heard you mention being in social situations, but I'm usually in a lot of social situations that doesn't really seem to help improve it. Any other tips, like maybe studying certain aspects of psychology or maybe suggest certain books? So, obviously, there's the personality element, right? People that are extroverted naturally, it'd be a lot easier to for them to just be cool with everybody. But guess what? Even extroversion and introversion, whatever, it's not something you locked in forever. It's a trait, and it could be developed. It could be trained. People that are extroverted, if you look at it, right, a lot of them, back to what I said earlier about reinforcements and behavior. A lot of people that are extroverted were actually introverted, and they were just forced into situations that forced them to level up that quote unquote extroversion scale. And next, they started to draw energy from the outer world. By the way, extroversion doesn't just mean you social; it just means you draw energy from the outer world. So that's one thing, right? So if you're introverted, just do the opposite, right? Try to get out of your head and put yourself in social situations where you leveling up that skill every day. Guys, it's really like a video game. Life as a man, it's really like a video game. In fact, that's why we're addicted to video games, because video games were able to capture what the perfect life of a man is, which is constant leveling up, constant wins and losses, you know, constant wins, constant losses, constant repetitions, right? Constant feedback that we're in the right or wrong direction. So you trying to level up a skill, just do it every day and then have a way to measure progress in that skill. Guys, I really want you to gamify your life. And again, the gamification course is also one of the things that's going to be coming out in the SKOOL community. But you got to gamify your life, guys. Right? Meaning have a goal, break it up into levels and monitor, right? Monitor progress in that goal. right? Have some kind of feedback mechanism, just like you have the HP ball and the stamina ball or whatever. Have some kind of feedback mechanism that tells you that you're moving in the right direction. So you want to get better at just talking to random people. Well, first start with 5 people a day. Start with going up to 5 random people and just saying the smallest thing. It doesn't have to be a full blown conversation, right? Because remember, you level one, right? If you level one, you're not trying to. If you're in Pallet Town, you're not trying to go fight fucking Charizard and shit and Metagross, right? You're trying to fight those little Rattata motherfuckers, right? So if you level one at a scale, just start small, right? If you terrible at talking to strangers or whatever, just go up to a stranger one day. Make it a goal that you're gonna talk to 5 on Monday or week one. Week one is talk to 5 strangers a day, right? And then you go to them and you say the smallest thing. Hey, I like your shoes. Hey, I like your hat. Hey, I like your shirt. Hey, do you know what's on the bus is coming? Right? Do that for 7 days. That's 35 fucking strangers you spoke to. And you just said the most basic things. Then week two, right? Now you, let's say, level two, right? You go, okay, I'm going to take it up a notch. Now I'm going to talk to 10 strangers, right? And now week two, you try to find 10 random people on campus or whatever. You just say simple things. No need to start a full blown conversation because you're not that level yet, right? No need to fight Charizard, right? With your fuck ass fucking PGO or whatever the fuck his name was, right? And then you just keep scaling up from there. On week three, you go, okay, I'm really fucking confident, right? Because you got history of wins, history of losses, and now the brain is spitting out confidence, right? Now you go, okay, I'm really good at talking to 10 people. I'm going to bring it up to 15. Or you could say, well, I'm going to keep it at 10, but now I'm going to try to keep the conversation going longer than just small talk. That's how you level up, guys. That's how I got good at everything I'm good at. I literally started small and slowly, progressively overloaded. Okay, so hope that answers your question. Obviously, there's so much more I could say, but it's a Q&A, guys. Next, Tom Butler. Do you have questions to ask yourself to find out what your Ikigai is? Yeah. I made so many posts about them. Search them in the SKOOL community. Search them in the Discord. Watch my tier list video that I did on YouTube. See, I give you guys free information. Watch the free video that I did. It's called How to Find Your Ikigai, tier list, whatever. Put a lot of great questions there that you can ask yourself. And I even ranked them from S tier to F tier. Okay, so next you say having a conversation with yourself will probably bring you there, I assume. I just need some guidance on what to ask. No. Write this shit down. The whole Ikigai thing, guys, write it down. Treat it like a homework. It's going to be the most important decision you make in your entire life. So you might as well take it seriously, right? Don't just sit there and talk to yourself. Write it down. Guys, if I show you, oh my God, like if I show you all the stuff I wrote when I was trying to find my Ikigai, right? In my late teens, early 20s. See, it took me years instead of 3 days because I had no guide. I had no mentor. I had no idea how to start. So that's why it took me so long. And once I actually found my Ikigai, I was like, wait a minute, this shit could have taken me a day. Because the answers were always around me. I just didn't know the questions. I repeat, the answers were always around me. I just didn't know the questions. So it took me years to find my Ikigai when it could have taken me a day. See? So just ask yourself the basic question. Write it down, right? If I could show you, I could show you. I remember the quiz that I originally created had over 500 questions. Over 500 questions. I still have the Excel if I look for it in one of my old files because I did on Excel, on Microsoft OneNote, on PowerPoint. Oh my God, guys, I was like traumatized trying to find my Ikigai because with ADHD, you interested in so many things, you can't focus. So it was so hard. And then once I found it, I felt like a fucking retard because I was like, man, this was always right in front of my face, right? And I just never saw it. So yeah, you could, basic question. Anyway, watch that tier list and then stay tuned for the Ikigai course. Make sure you level up so you could afford it if you broke. Next, Andy Hyung, would you recommend exploring the world and trying out everything before finding your Ikigai? How do I know what suits me when I don't even know what's out there? I answered that earlier when I was responding to, I forgot his name. But just start with whatever the closest thing is, and eventually you would gravitate and refine your Ikigai more and more. Right? Start with the basic 5 questions. What is your passion? I call it the 5 P's, right? P, right? Me and my mnemonics. Start with the basic 5 questions. What is your passion? What is your superpower? What is your power? What is your pain? What is the pain of the world that you can help out? Start with the basic questions. Find whatever is the closest answer, right? The closest Ikigai you could start with today and just start. and over time you'll refine it. Right? Don't wait for perfection. Just get started. Remember, perfect is the enemy of good. Right? Just get started. Trust me. Chances are, if you go through the questions, you spend 3 days trying to figure out your ikigai, whatever you find, even if it's not your ultimate ikigai, it's not gonna be so far fetched, right? You know, for example, no one is gonna think that ikigai is fixing cars, and then eventually find out it was being a drag queen on fucking Broadway. Okay, those things are so far apart. I can guarantee you, that's not gonna be the case, right? What might happen is you might start thinking that your ikigai is fixing cars, and then eventually you find out it's maybe driving cars, or maybe it's being a mechanical engineer, maybe it's building a bridge, right? It'll be somewhere in that region. And then when that happens, you could copy and paste whatever skills you learn from fixing cars onwards, right? The problem is you guys are afraid that you're going to be wasting your time if you get started too soon. No, you never waste time, right? As long as you're moving in a direction and you're leveling up, you could always copy and paste those skills. Like when I was trying to find my guy, look all the different things I did, guys. I was a tutor. I was obsessed with fighting and martial arts, and I was a counselor. I was also coaching. I was doing, but if you notice, they all had to do with self improvement, with masculinity. With consulting with people, helping people. At one point, I was working with kids. When I was 14 years old, I was a counselor, working with a whole bunch of kids. And if you look at all of the things I was doing, thinking, what was my, if you'll notice, they're all around that same sphere, which is self improvement, consulting, helping men fight, helping men, you know, with the battles of life, right? Even when I was trading stocks, at one point I was like, wait, is this my guy? But if you think about it, I was doing a lot of strategic analysis, a lot of quote unquote fighting because I was short selling motherfuckers, right? And then eventually I started just giving great advice. And then I realized, wait, I'm going right back to helping men again. People were messaging me, showing me how much money they were making and da 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 da. And I was like, man, like, my guy's always been in front of me. I was just a fucking retard. All right, next, Albert. What do you do if you don't have one? If you don't have what? You just said, what do you do if you don't have one? What are you referring to? Let me see. Is it maybe the poll? What was the poll? The poll was, I don't know, my Ikigai. I don't know. I know versus I don't know. Most people, by the way, the poll was one, I know my Ikigai, quote unquote, area dominance. Second one was, I don't know my Ikigai. And 39 people don't know, 14 people know. So I'm guessing that's what you're referring to, Albert, right? What do you do if you don't have one? You find one. The fuck, right? What do you do if you don't have one? You find one. It's the most important decision you make in your whole life, right? Next, how do you transition into your Ikigai full time as fast as possible? Well, it depends on what your Ikigai is, right? If it's, I don't know, entrepreneurship, you just get started. If it's consulting, again, you just start. Pretty much the goal, like I said, back to the gamification thing. The goal is to map out your journey, levels from 1 through 10 or 1 through 100, and then just level up, right? Just get started. The problem with you guys is you stay in your head and you waiting until you level 99. No, you start at level 1, then level 2, then level 3. So just get started. Get started, and then remove all distractions. Because that's another reason why finding your Ikigai is so important. Because one of the reasons men fail, it's not because of lack of talent, it's not because of lack of motivation or lack of whatever. It's because of distractions. And if you don't know your Ikigai, you will be distracted by so many random fucking things. Trust me, guys, been there. Because if you look at the formula for motivation, the formula for dopamine, right? At the top, you got the reward and the probability of getting the reward and blah, 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 right? The value of the reward. At the bottom, which is the things you want to reduce, what do you have? You have time delay, you have effort, you have risk, you have cost, right? But what do you also have? You have impulsiveness, right? Which is really caused by distractions. And that's what's killing a lot of you guys' motivation is you have too many distractions. It's not that you don't have motivation, not that you don't want the reward. You want the reward, but you distracted. And the brain evolved to prioritize short, quick dopamine, right? So even if you want a goal that's 3 hours away, but your brain can get a reward that's 5 minutes away, it's going to go for it. That's why phones distract us so much. That's why social media is such a brain rot. That's why TikTok is so addictive because it's easier, closer reward. And the brain will always prioritize that over longer term reward because of evolution, right? Life is trying to conserve energy, trying to be efficient as possible. So your brain is thinking, why would I wait 3 hours for this reward when I could just spend 5 minutes and get this one? So what do? You just remove distractions. So that's what I tell you guys, just get started. Remove distractions, get started on your journey, and just keep leveling up. All right, I really gotta go. This was supposed to be a 20-minute video. God damn it. All right, do you think using, let me see. Oh, God, I really gotta hurry up. Jack Chen, do you think using a Pareto principle, finding your Ikigai, can be simplified to one, you can get paid for it, two, you are naturally good at it, three, you enjoy doing it? I know your Ikigai 2.0 framework relies on obsession at number one, but I think a lot of people aren't really obsessed with anything, can't stop doing it, other than scrolling TikTok or some shit, laughing my ass off. Yeah, so the reason why I start off with obsession is because that's the secret to life. That's the secret to success, sorry. The hyper most successful people on the planet, from the beginning of time, from the Genghis Khans to the Khalid ibn al-Walids to the today, to the Elon Musk, to the whatever. One thing they have in common is they are obsessed with whatever it is their Ikigai, their goal is, right? And why is it such a cheat code? Because if you're not obsessed, you will have to rely on motivation and discipline and whatever. When you're obsessed, for example, people that are obsessed with porn or video games, you think they need motivation to play video games? Think about it. Think about the last time you played a game when you were just locked the fuck in. You were playing it for like 8 hours straight. Did you wake up like, oh, I need motivation for this? No, you literally woke up and didn't even brush your stink ass teeth and went straight to it, right? When you're obsessed with something, you don't even know what discipline is, right? And that's the illusion that a lot of successful people give is they say, oh, yeah, I just have a lot of discipline. They're lying. They're obsessed. When you're obsessed, you don't need motivation. You don't need discipline, right? And you will outwork everybody. That's another reason why I put obsession up there as like number one, because when you're obsessed with something, you will outwork everyone. Why? Because they will rely on motivation. They will wait until they have energy to work. You will do it just because you fucking love it or because you hate not having what it is that you want. Right? So start by finding out your obsession. It is unlimited fuel. Unlimited fuel. Right? Obsession makes it so that everything else in your life, you remember I told you guys earlier, get rid of distractions, right? When you're obsessed, right, all distractions vanish. Even if they're there, they don't even have an influence on you because your brain is just locked in. Okay, so, but yeah, you could pretty much boil down the Ikigai to you can get paid for it, you're naturally good at it, you enjoy doing it, but the enjoy doing it is the obsession part, right? That's what the uh, the passion part comes in. I call it passion to make it all P, but it's really obsession. Um, Next, Migan. This is from Feeney and Morgan. Previous one was from Jack Chen. Feeney and Morgan. Migan, how can I turn being honorable into an advantage when in my experience it's done nothing but bite me in the ass? I feel like the world and society just rewards manipulators. Absolutely true. Guys, you have to understand this at this age, early in life. The world rewards manipulators and narcissists and liars and scammers. It's not even up for debate. Just look at the numbers. That's why some of the most successful people in fitness are fake natties. Some of the most successful people in business are liars and manipulators. You know, and there's so many clips of them doing it. Right? Why? Because the world rewards speed. Right? It's not really that the world loves liars and manipulators. No, it's just the world loves speed, results, fast results. And liars and manipulators are really good at getting fast results because they skip the line. They skip the line. They cheat. They steal. You know, think about it. Look at when I was obsessed with bodybuilding, right? When at one point I thought it was my Ikigai, right? Think about it. Think about how hard I had to work, how much I had to research with my skinny, fat, shitty genetics. Look how hard I had to work before I finally got my abs and a good physique. You guys remember my story. Look how hard I had to work, right? Look how much time it took. Now imagine if I just lied to you guys, hopped on roids, right? Got on a nice little cycle, testosterone, right? Some Anavar, maybe some Winstrol, right? Maybe some Deca on the side, right? Some Arimidex, in case I got some, high estrogen side effects, whatever. Imagine if I just hopped on the cycle, got shredded and jacked in like 2 years. Guys, do you understand how successful I would have been at that time? Without having to know testosterone, without having to study all of these things, nucleus of low carb backloading, I would have got so much more successful if I just lied to everybody. That's why look at the fitness industry. That's all you see is guys who get caught lying about Psalms and PDs and oh I'm only on TRT types of. So yeah, that's why the world rewards liars and scammers because the universe is all about speed, right? Power, right? Work over time, force and velocity. And liars are able to succeed faster than others. So yeah, and I told you guys that's why I hate the fact that I have this whole honor of like, oh, I refuse to hop on roids unless I have no choice or whatever, because I hate that because it also holds me back. I know how much of a beast, guys. The amount of stuff I know about steroids and testosterone, whatever, because I've been studying testosterone my whole life. I would be a monster if I hopped on PDs, and I'm not even being arrogant because I have clients. When I put them on the right protocols, I'm like, holy fuck, you made more gains in 3 months that it took me fucking years with the right cycle. So yeah, always remember that, right? The world will always reward speed. So I'm not telling you to be a liar and a scammer. No, I'm just saying look for ways to increase speed. That's why I hate when you guys waste time on like low return on investment thing because you're just slowing down your success. So no, you don't have to cheat to succeed. You just have to be fast. It just so happens that people who lie and steal are faster, right? Because they skip the line. Next, Ben Bota, whatever. As a father, how do you guide your child towards the Ikigai, help them grow into their own person and discover their obsessions? Good question. First, watch my videos on the best questions to ask to find your Ikigai. And yeah, start them young. Start them young because they will have a crazy advantage. People who got started, like Warren Buffett, people are amazed at how smart he is. They forgot that this guy got started when he was like 10 years old or even younger. I forgot, I read his biography a long time ago. He got started with finance and business so young. So the earlier you start, the better, you know? So how do you guide your child? Well, first, know the questions and, have them think about it, meditate on it, push them in that direction. Look at the things they gravitate towards, look at their obsessions, look at their natural talents. Once you could combine natural talent plus obsession, oh my God, game over. Next, to Tapatio, oh my nigga, Tapioca. I feel like the 40 Laws of Power unconsciously makes me become a quote unquote bad person. What's your personal take on that book? How do you apply his teaching? First of all, I love that book. I love that book, 40 Laws of Power. I loved it. No, it does not make you a bad person. It just shows you the reality of the world. A lot of people that don't know world history. The reason I love that book is because I love world history. So when I read the book, I was like, oh man, he's spot on, right? The world just created this Disney Disney world view that there's good people and there's bad people and if you're good you will succeed and it's all bullshit. Right? The 40 laws of power show you how the world really works. Now, how do you use it? I use it defensively, so I use it to know what to watch out for. Right? So don't use it to become evil or whatever. No, use it to know what to watch out for. That's why I could see a scammer from a mile away. But you don't even have to read 40 laws of power for that. You could just study history. You study history, which that's what every man should. You That's really what 40 laws of power is. If you think about it, there's a reason why if you read this book, he's constantly making references to what? To history, right? History in a nutshell is the 40 laws of power. History shows you how fucked up the world is. So next, do you believe in the 80-20 principle from Lawrence Unegbu? Is this a joke? Dude, I don't shut up about the Pareto principle. It's everything to me. It's one of my core. If you look at all the advice I gave, the videos I make, why do you think I'm always doing tier lists? Why do you think I'm always saying Pareto, Price's law? Focus. I always boil things down to 10 commandments or 3 this, or triple S score. All the models and systems that I have, HSP training, and that, it's all based on the Pareto principle and Price's law, which is return on investment, focusing on the things that give you a disproportionate return based on what you put in. So yeah, I absolutely live by that principle. Next, Migan, how bad is vaping? Oh, I gotta go. Shit, I really gotta go. I got a call with a potential client. All right, Migan, this is from Preston Diary. Migan, how bad is vaping for men's mental health and testosterone? And how bad is drinking on the weekends and going out for mental? It's bad. It's so bad. Stop doing it. It's bad, my nigga. Stefan, when would you say it's time to go to a psychologist or psychiatrist? Just go. If you feel like you have, if you think you need one, go. Years ago, I would have told you, don't, whatever. No, just go, just to hear what they have to say. Because even though a lot of them are terrible, I'll be honest, a lot of them are pieces of shit. You might find a good one. You might find a good one, or just go so that you get new insights on yourself. Right? That doesn't mean you have to do everything that they say, but just go so that you get enough insights. Don't procrastinate. Last question, Holy Wrath. What do you think about male crying? Considering that, as always, there's a black and white version about it. You have to always cry, otherwise you're toxic. You never have to cry, otherwise you're gay. I think that's opportune only if you're completely powerless in a matter, death, heartbreak, terminal illness. In other words, where desperation is the only choice since you don't alleviate it with action. But on the other hand, crying when stressed could lower cortisol and make action more lucid and effective. So looking at it in a completely pragmatic and egoless way, it may have a sense. What do you think? I think you're overthinking this, right? If you need to cry, cry, right? Don't cry in front of people. Cause I cry. I cry. There are times when I think of my fucking childhood and I cry. I mention it all the time. You know, it lowers the frequency, goes down with age and with experience. But even when I was 32, right now I'm 36. When I was 32, I told you guys I would randomly watch TV, see a mother holding her son or a father throwing a ball at his son, and I would just start breaking fucking down. And if there was somebody in the room with me, I would go to the bathroom so they don't see me, and I would just start crying. I'd be so mad at myself, like, hey, why am I crying? Trauma is trauma, guys. But it's okay. I'll be mad at myself, like, dude, you're supposed to be a man or whatever. But it hurts, guys. Men are boys who are just roughed up by scars. We still boys inside. That's why I'm not afraid to be myself. I talk about Dragon Ball Z all the time. I talk about games and all, because I love myself. I'm okay with myself. I know who I am, and I accept myself. So don't be afraid to cry if something hurts. Just don't be a bitch, right? Don't be a bitch. What I always say is cry, wipe your tears, and then execute vengeance. That's my fucking mentality in life. Something hurts, I will pause, I will cry, I will let the tears out, but then I'll make whatever it is, whatever it was that made me cry, I will make that, that force suffer, right? For every tear, I will pull out a contract and be like, I will obliterate this thing. For example, remember I told you guys I always make things my fault? Every time I cry, I think, wait, why am I crying? Okay, because this happened to me as a kid. Why did that happen to me as a kid? Right? I make it my fault, right? I say, well, it happened to me because I was weak. Okay, now I signed a contract. I'm going to obliterate weakness. That's literally how I live my life, right? So the world will hurt you, right? The world will hurt you. It's okay. What's not okay is not fighting back. But anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Join the SKOOL community before price goes up. Hire me for coaching, buy the eBooks, support the channel. We hit 200K. I keep forgetting to make a post about it. So shout out to the team through the offers out there. All right, I'm out of here. I got to take this call.